Good day, everybody. I have a wonderful guest on my chat today. His name is Abdul Adediran. We met in 2012, towards the end of 2012, when he had just moved to Dubai for his master's degree. And from then, we've been very, very close friends. He's somebody that he inspires me with the way he has been very unsettled with life. He keeps reinventing himself. He keeps, trying to get the most he can get from life. He moved to Dubai to have his master's degree with Wharton University, and he stayed in Dubai for 3 years. So a year of master's degree, another 2 years of working, and then between 2014 and 2015, he began to become very, very unsettled with how things were. And he tried so many other things and finally settled for a PhD in University of South Africa. No, sorry, University of Cape Town in South Africa. And after his PhD, he found his way back to Dubai and did about 2 years also in Dubai. And again, left for Canada. So I would allow him to tell his own story. Please help me welcome Abdul Adediran to the chat today. Abdul, how far?
Thanks very much. Happy to be on the channel and looking forward to the chat. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll kick it off from the beginning, right? You were working in Nigeria, and I wouldn't know why you chose Dubai for your master's degree. All I know is that on that first day you got to Dubai, that was when we met, because I rode with Abdul Majid to come and pick you up, and then to drop you off the accommodation that you had arranged for yourself. So why Dubai for your master's? Why not US, Canada, Australia, or anywhere else? Why Dubai?
Yeah, I like the why questions, because that's what drives all of us, right? Why? So why Dubai? I wanted to go to a place where I would have an opportunity to settle, to work. Also, that was important for me. I wasn't looking to go somewhere where I would get an education only, and then and that's all, So I wanted a place where I could get, the best of both, get an education and also get the experience, work experience, particularly. I applied to other places. I actually got admission in the UK and also in Germany. But maybe I could have gone for, somewhere else. However, the Dubai offer was more pleasing to me because of the fact that after speaking to people, I know that Dubai is open to immigrant rights and foreign workforce. So I thought, well, I could use the education as a way in, and then while studying, I can find work and, try to balance, both, get that experience, get that good education, and then to be a win-win for me, right? So I didn't end up going to Germany because the offer came in, just fairly, later than the Dubai offer. So I figured, let me just, stay with this one that I'm already kind of committed to after starting to pay all the fees and making preparations for my trip. Dubai, because of, getting that balance of work and experience and education, of course,
All right, but I remember you finished your master's in 2013, and somewhere early or mid 2014, you started looking outside. of Dubai.
Correct.
Because I remember you were one of the very few people around me that started looking into Australia for both either a PhD or an immigration.
Yeah.
And, you know, that didn't go as you would want it to go. And of course, while you were looking at Australia, you looked at Canada, but it wasn't very strong on the list of priority. The main reason for you leaving was largely PhD at that time, because your PhD drive was more intense than, okay, I want to do a PR, quote unquote.
Yes.
And now, so you got that PhD thing in South Africa, a scholarship for PhD in University of Cape Town. But when you started your PhD, I know I always asked, do you plan to go into academia? You would say no, that is not my intention for this PhD. So 2 questions: why PhD? And since you knew you were not going into academia, why did you still pursue a PhD?
Let's back up a little bit to when I started looking at PhD opportunities. Yes, as a matter of fact, I had barely graduated from my master's when I started looking at PhD opportunities in 2013. Again, it goes back to what you said at the beginning of the chat when you're introducing me, you know, how I've been unsettled. I think that's just who I am. I'm kind of a nomad. And I was, after staying in Dubai for 1 year, I was already feeling unsettled again. And I was looking at, okay, where next? And then I figured wherever I want to go, it's either I go in as a, you know, worker, you know, like an expatriate, or I go in as a student, or I go in as an immigrant right off the bat. But then I figured, well, I came into Dubai as a student, then maybe the best way, again, will be as a student, because one thing is, even if I'm going somewhere, I want to have a purpose for going there. I don't want to go there just to explore or just to wander. So I want to go somewhere with a purpose. And that's how the PhD was conceived. Even though, yes, up until today, I don't intend to be in academia, although I enjoy doing research. But I wanted to do a PhD because, again, my test for knowledge, as well as it opens doors to new places, new experiences. And yes, Australia was at the top of my list. Canada was not, because I dreaded the cold that's been associated with Canada. So I was not even looking at Canada at all. It was not until I got to South Africa, which, by the way, was not a consideration for me while I was looking at master's opportunity at the time, because, again, I know South Africa is fairly cold. So because of that, when I got to South Africa and I was like, okay, I'm in South Africa, it's cold here, then I might as well give Canada a shot also, right? And after my attempt with Australia was quite unsuccessful, you know, twice. So I had to go through the regional stream, because my occupation at the time wasn't among the in-demand occupations at the federal stream. So after I had applied twice to different regions or territories or states, as you call it, and I was declined, my brother-in-law actually was the one who was looking into Canada. And I said, okay, let me look into it too. And I figured that I had already had a head start with my Australia preparations, right? With all the documents and everything. So it was fairly easy for me to switch gear from Australia to Canada. And within 6 months after I started, or 8 months after I started all my applications, I had my permanent residence in Canada while still pursuing my PhD in Cape Town.
Then after that, you felt, okay, let me still go back to Dubai to, you know, just prepare myself for the, you know, final shift to Canada.
Yeah.
And why did you decide to have a bridge, before you finally then say, okay, yeah, it is time for me to move to Canada?
Well, the bridge. Okay, so I didn't have much of a choice at the time when I made that decision. I knew that I've been in school for 3 years, and I knew Canada wasn't really welcoming to people with foreign experience, you know. So I figured, what chances do I even have if I don't even have, if I haven't, really worked in the industry for 3 years, although I had worked, within the university space, an institution on, research group projects and all that. But then the industry experience was missing. So I figured that, well, having that bridge between my move to between my PhD completion and my move to Canada, and filling that space with real industry experience, beneficial to me in Canada, right? So I reached out to my former employees in Dubai, and they were happy to have me back. So I came to Dubai, worked for a year and a half thereabout, and then I made the move to Canada permanently.
How many, months or weeks or days do you put into your thought process into how, okay, what is the next step for me, to deciding what the next step for you is? Because most of the things you do, they are not things that, at the flip of your fingers, they happen, right? So I want to believe there is always a very deep process into deciding this is the next thing for me.
Yeah, yeah. Thought process. It's yeah. I definitely have to consider all angles. I look at my decisions and I ponder on them. And what something most people I don't know is that I consult a lot of people before I make a decision. I prefer to learn from people's experiences rather than repeating, the same mistakes, right? Or I try to analyze things not just by myself, but with the help of different people, different perspectives. My thought process is simple and straightforward. I like to keep things very simple, realistic. Just weigh all options. Why am I doing something? What do I want out of it? And what does it get me in the long term? I always look at the long term. I don't think short term. Sometimes I look at things 2, 3, 5 years down the line. I try to analyze things in a way that I see that, well, this is beneficial to me now. Will it be beneficial in the long term? So I keep it simple, yeah. Just weigh options and look at where it's going to get me. Is it part of the bigger picture? Is it part of the grand plan? That's the word you always use, what you're doing. That's why I guess my decision to do a PhD, it was quite baffling for you if I don't want to go into academia, right? But yes, it's all part of the grand plan. That's my thought process.
And even in Canada, yeah, you are not planning to particularly leave Canada, not yet. But I know even in Canada, you have moved around a lot, both location-wise and career-wise.
Yeah.
So, and I know we'll have a chat about, okay, this is why I think I need to leave this place at the moment. I need to move to, I'm not going to dig deep into those jobs, but what are the kind of jobs that you think, okay, this is the kind of job that can hold me for, say, 5 years? Because particularly if you look at your career, if I were to employ you now, I'll look at you and say, this guy, 18 months, 1 year, max 2 years, he has moved. Maybe the question your employers are not asking you is, how can we, keep you? How can we make you happy on this job that you're applying for?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of employment? What kind of job? What kind of okay, so for me, yeah, let's start from okay. There are many reasons for taking the job. That's that. I think that's the starting point, right? Is why is the employee taking the job in the first place. And I've taken jobs in the past that are just a bridge. I've taken jobs I've done jobs that are survival jobs. That's the why I'm doing this, because I just need a job right now. I'm taking the job because right now I am, in transit kind of between places. So while I'm here, I need a job. I think the most important question is the job. Is it the right job for me right now, or is it the right job for me long term? And you can answer the question fairly easily, because but also it could be complicated, because it could be the right job right now, also the right job, in the long term. If I were to answer that question, the right job for me now is the job that pays my bills, right? But the right job for me in the long term is the job that keeps me challenged. But as well, it has to pay my bills, of course, right? So if I'm in an employment and I find myself that every day I'm challenged, I'm not doing the same thing over and over. It's not kind of a repetitive process. I like to see my workplace evolve also, in terms of processes, people. I like to know that, well, if I'm in this job for the next 6 months, this is where I'm going to be. If I'm in this job in the next 1 year, this is where I'm going to be. 3 years, 5 years. I like to see that path laid out, long term. Otherwise, then it becomes really difficult for me to keep myself engaged and committed, not to the work itself, right? Because I'll always be committed to the tasks and the responsibilities, but rather committed to remaining in that job, right? So that's it for me, right? So the right job for me right now is a job that pays my bills. The right job for me long term is a job that keeps me challenged and that evolves over time.
Okay, that explanation is fair enough, but and if an employer says to you, in an interview and say, yeah, we've looked at your profile and we've seen that you barely spend 2 years maximum on a job, and they say, how can we improve on that for you? What would be your answer?
Well, I don't know if an employer should be put in that, well, I don't know if I want to put an employer in that spot. I mean, I can answer the question, but I don't know if they want to hear what I have to say. But I'll keep it simple, and I'll say, how about you ask me, or you check in with me every 3 months and see how things are going. I think that's it.
I know you have interest in consulting. You like research part of the PhD of the academia and not the teaching. That is what you don't like, correct? No, you did some teaching too, right? Even when you were doing your MSc, you did some teaching.
Yeah, I did some tutoring during my MSc, did some teaching during my PhD. And tutoring also, yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody is looking at, okay, this guy has master's in project management, PhD in construction management related, research, and is looking at, okay, I think I like him. What kind of gig, as a researcher, would you jump on? What kind of gig would excite you to say, okay, yeah, this is a project I want to be part of?
At the moment, research-wise, I'm interested in, I don't know if you want me to go into speaking about, specific areas of interest, or just, general, structure of a research or focus.
No, anything, you can be specific, you can be general. The one that you think would explain what you want to do and how you want to go about it better.
Yeah. So research-wise, we'll say I'm interested in participating in a research that is collaborative. Most importantly, if it's country, international research, but also I am very interested in research that also has a local impact to where I am. And where I am right now is Canada, right? So I am very much interested in building research experience within North America. In terms of specific focus areas, I find myself right now to very interested in doing economic research, research that has to do with economics, maybe even a little bit of socioeconomic research in the areas of the environment, ecology, and also relating to the built environment, of course, because that's my core focus, right? So a little bit of information technology also, definitely. If you can tie all that in together, then yeah, you definitely get my interest.
So when you said socioeconomic, okay, what particularly is your interest in that?
So there's been a little bit of talk. I mean, yeah, it's all in our faces actually. When you look at the housing sector in a lot of these urban centers, I've seen it personally, and I've been impacted by it, and it's driven me to make decisions that have really great impact on me and my family. So definitely, research that has to do with social housing, inclusionary housing, human settlements generally. I'm very much interested in that. So my PhD research had to do with development of historically disadvantaged contractors in South Africa. So you could also look at that as a kind of socio-economic kind of research, right? It has that growth and the economic development aspect of it, as well as the social development also of these contractors. So yeah, I think I'm just interested in research that has impact beyond just mere economic terms, and goes and expands into the social realm. So if I have something in that area, definitely, yeah, I'm always interested in participating.
You trained as an architect, and the progression has been architecture, project management, construction, construction project management, right? Not project management as it is construction project management.
Yeah.
And you've worked within government parastatal, town planning related stuff, and education too, right? And health services. So in all of these industries, because in Dubai, you were more into commercial construction, but a niche, which is commercial kitchen design and setup and all of that.
Food services and laundry.
Laundry, yeah. In all of this, which of those experiences would you say really gave you a kick?
Well, yeah. So in all my areas that I've worked in so far, I've always met them with a little bit of surprise and interest in how much or how different that they are from what I perceive them to be from the outside. So that alone kind of gives me satisfaction that this is actually quite intriguing. However, I would say the work I'm doing now is the one that kind of really, really interests me. And even if I go into consulting in the future, I would want to continue working in this space. So I work in capital projects for the provincial government. I work on healthcare projects, and maybe it has something to do with where we are now with the pandemic and how that has affected all different areas and spheres of life, all sectors, and the kind of projects that I work on now and their impact. These are projects that have long-term impact, 50, 60 years, capital projects with big budgets, that they require, a lot of thought and, careful consideration, very complicated, a lot of moving parts. And no two projects are the same. They are, it just keeps me challenged, right? And it's interesting, the people we work with, the stakeholders, and all that. And like I said, even if I end up going into consulting in the future, then I'll want to go on the consulting side of working on the same capital project, but now working to implement these projects rather than working on the owner side as an oversight over those projects.
What you are saying is currently, of course, because you work with the government that is investing in that project, you work on the client side.
Yes.
So you would, if at all you want to have a switch, you would want to switch to be on the contractor side or the implementer side.
So not exactly, because I'm not sure if there's any contractors that hire people specifically for capital projects, right? The contractors will most likely just have a theme of project managers and engineers that they assign to all kind of projects. It doesn't have to be capital projects, right? It doesn't have to be even a government project. It could be a private sector project. And sometimes it might even be hired just for one project. So I would say making a switch would be making a switch to the consultant side. So consultancy, meaning management consultancy specifically, right? Working with the big five. So these are consultants that are tasked with, preparing or responding to these RFPs that we put out or that the government put out for these projects. And, just my experience on, working on this kind of projects, I know that it's an exciting thing to do, or it will be an exciting thing to do. Either on either side, just as it's exciting on the owner side, the client side, working on the consultant side will be equally, very interesting, and most likely even much more, challenging, because now we are working to actually, put something forward that will be accepted and that will be, compliant to the government requirements, right? So yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you would want to be a part of the people that put the idea together to a stage where it is implementable, basically.
Exactly.
So you want to be part of the guys, okay, this is the problem, right? And these are the inputs that you can get from us. We want you to put something together that we can go to the market with, that people can now tender and say, this is how much it's going to cost us to build or to implement. So you are in between the guys who own the idea and the guys who are supposed to implement the idea. But you are the guys who are going to flesh out the idea, look at all the angles that the idea has and put all the pieces together and say, at every stage, these are the steps to take. And these would be the governing policies or the governing specification that will allow you to build what we want you to build. That's interesting. So basically, going forward in your career, what is that next thing that you think you should be doing? Because I know you are very restless. If somebody sat you down and asked, what would you be doing to make all this make meaning to you? What would be that thing you'll be looking at?
Sorry, are you asking about the next step for me?
Not particularly career-wise, and it can be. It is just currently you've been in this new job for close to a year plus or minus, right?
No, not
6
up to
months.
a year. Yeah, not up to a year.
Yeah. Okay, 6 months, right? And it's like you said, this is the job so far that you think it has grabbed your attention and it is interesting to you. The question might not particularly relate to job, okay? But because I know that you have this busy mind that loves to jump from one place to another, okay? So currently, what is that idea? What is that concept that interests you, that you are, putting a lot of effort into understanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, like most people, they want to, get to a point where they can stand on their own and be, self-sufficient, start, grow their own business, entrepreneurship. I know you're a entrepreneurship guru, but some of us, we're not there yet, and we are trying to find a way in. So I think I've come to a point where I am fairly settled in all other aspects, of my life, even career-wise. I believe the next concept, or something that I have to do, is try and master something, or to a point where I can actually, step out on my own and do it. And there's a lot of ideas here and there, going to consulting on my own, go into consulting for either project management or research. I've also taken a keen interest in the stock market. I barely have time to do any trading of the sort, just stock picking for now. But it's something also that I would like to expand my knowledge of, and hopefully become pretty good at it. Another thing again is, I guess this also ties back into the whole consulting thing and research, is data analytics. I kind of enjoy doing data analysis. That's the one part of research that I cannot get tired of, crunching those numbers and making meaning of data. So I think there's quite a few things here and there, but I haven't really decided on what it's going to be, or maybe it's going to be all of them. So we'll see.
All right. And if there is a younger fellow, that happened to have an opportunity to watch this and thinks, okay, this person's story is an interesting story to me, and it is a path that I would like to, if not follow exactly, I would like to use as a guide on how I want to progress with life, right? What are those characteristics or those things you would tell the young man or the young lady to do for him or her to navigate life? What are your own coping mechanisms in life, and how do you view things? How do you analyze things? How do you come to conclusion on, this is what I think I should be doing now, and this is how I should go about it?
So one thing I would say is always be open-minded. Always have an open mind. I always have an open mind. I'm always ready to listen, because I know I don't have all the answers. I definitely don't have all the answers. Sometimes I have no answers, when I want to do something, and I'm always ready to listen and be open-minded to opinion and criticisms. I don't make a decision and remain rigid on that decision. I try to accommodate changes and evolution of my ideas. How you go about implementing your ideas, or maybe why you even decide on something. For me, I always, again, like I said, look at the long term, and I guess it depends on where you are at a particular time in life. Right now, I always look at what is good for the benefit of my family, right? That's very important and paramount in every decision I make. And the how is just one step at a time, keep going, and you can always pause, change directions, or maybe even stop and pick it up again in some other fashion or manner, right? That's how I do things. That's how I approach things, and so far so good.
Yeah, I think the people might not really appreciate, when you move, you can pause, change direction, or even stop. Now, that stopping for most people is the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know why? The sunk cost syndrome.
Yeah.
I have put in a lot of effort, a lot of money into this thing. It doesn't make sense that I leave it. That means I am abandoning what I have so much worked for.
Exactly.
Right? But at the time you are making that decision might actually be the best decision for you at the time.
Exactly.
But you get into it, you get into the middle of the whole thing and you see, this doesn't really, give me that kick anymore. Or, man, I can change my direction. Because the circumstances, that led me into pursuing this path, they no longer hold. Thank you so much for your time. And I think you wanted to say something.
No, I just wanted to add to what you said. Like at that time when you're making decisions, that might actually be the best decision, right? And that's how I look at things also. I don't see anything as a right or wrong decision in essence. I think you can only make the optimum decision at any point in time after considering all options at that point in time and decide that, this is the best decision, this is the optimum decision. I'm going to go with this decision until it is no longer the optimum decision. And you can always stop there and turn around, make a full 360 degrees and turn around. Always, put in that appreciation that you can still stop and turn around or change direction.
It is a very, very important aspect of life, which is flexibility, open-mindedness, and it is not always one way. No. Like the Yoruba people would say, we are not con waja. The destination is the market, and that is fine. But there could be so many routes into that market.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And at the end of the day, I tell people what most of us are looking for, which a lot of people are not able to define or, put a hold on, is freedom. And the definition of freedom to everyone is different. That's what human being is looking for, freedom. To some people, it is me having a very stable and steady income and being able to foot my bill. To some people, it is me having that outlet to, put my energy into. And so long as I am enjoying that outlet, I am free, I am happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So until people are able to define what freedom is to them, things will continue to be cloudy in their head, in their mind, because they are not able to say, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for in life. Yeah. So until that thing is identified, nothing changes.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is the first time I'm going to be calling you a doctor. I call you prof all the time, but I don't want anybody to come to me with...
Yeah, please.
So, Dr. Abdul, thank you so much for your time. And this has been a very, very interesting and insightful conversation. And I hope that someday in future, we can schedule another one because, and just have a chat on other things, because most of the series that I've done so far, they're pretty much introductory to the idea of just having a chat with people and trying to examine and understand life from their own lenses. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.